A man who always swipes left on the left. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on the treasure. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bryan.
Go fuck yourself. I pray you all burn in hell.
All right. Pretty aggressive out of the gate.
Sorry.
All right. I got thoughts. I got NFL thoughts. I got bullet train thoughts. I got all kinds of thoughts.
There's a bullet train to have thoughts about?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
All right. First things first. Need to go up with the uprights. People keep tweeting me because the ball's now sailing over the top. It's a pretty easy fix.
What happened? I thought we did go up with the uprights.
They went up about 6 foot, but still not enough. We just have to keep going. There's no price to it. There's no danger to it. There's no anything to it other than eliminating balls, as the Cincinnati game and the Baltimore game, 16-16, with under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, tied up. And since he kicks it and the ball sails right over the upright, normally they call it no good.
How is anyone to know?
No one will ever know. It would have definitely hit, but we don't know whether it was caromed in or caromed out. Probably would have missed it. Don't know, but it was good, and the ball just went directly over the top. So we could have 2 foot of pipe, thin wall steel. We could solve this problem, people. But we can't figure this one out.
Can't be done.
That one is an interesting one. Saw another, your Kansas City Chiefs.
What happened?
What a crazy game with the Raiders the other night. Raiders up 17-0. Crazy call where their car was roughed by the pass rusher who just tackled him essentially, and it was a strip tackle, took the ball too, and they called it roughing. And the guy from KC who was being interviewed after the game said something pretty, he wasn't pissed off. He just said, hey, this is happening more and more. They're calling roughing the passer on what are semi-routine sacks, and we're going to need to review it. If we're reviewing everything else, then we got to review this.
Should be a reviewable play.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this, just that Twitter suddenly had so much to say about this, and I thought, well, we'll talk about it on the show.
But another call, Gina, you can sit this one out.
Oh, good.
Bryan?
Here I am.
I have this thing, I don't like good plays or even great plays, or especially great plays, taken away.
Okay.
And I don't like it, as you guys know, when the receiver catches it, takes a step and a half, gets blown up by the defender. The other guy scoops the ball and takes it to the house, and they go, no catch.
Yeah.
It's like he caught it. And then
he didn't make a football move, didn't a possession.
He caught the ball. That's a football move. And then he tried to turn and run, but he got blown up. The reality is the guy caught the ball, made a football move. The guy who blew him up made a better football move.
And thus here we are.
And the guy who scooped it up and took it to the house may have made an even better football move, but it's all negated now because he wasn't holding the ball for 3 Mississippi or whatever they needed. The Raiders were driving late. All they needed was a field goal to win. And they threw a pass, and the guy made a nice catch on it, but the ball was moving in his hands. We're seeing a lot of that, which is he got both feet down, but the ball was moving. He caught it.
It was just kind of bumping around?
Yes, they're like 2 kinds of catches. There's the catch where it just sticks, and it's one move and boom. And then there's the one, usually the ones that kind of come over the shoulder, where the guy's catching it and sort of bringing it back, and there's usually a little movement on the ball. But the ball doesn't touch the ground. Right. The guy caught the ball, but the ball was moving when he tapped his second foot, so it's a no catch. And my feeling is you threw the ball to the guy. The ball never touched the ground. I'm going to call that a catch.
Well, is the ball in the vicinity of his hands? Then that's probably...
He has both his hands on it. They're just kind of, the ball is moving around.
You've hit on one of my pet peeves, which is the rule is you have to control the ball, right? Is a juggler controlling his balls? Or he doesn't have an ironclad grip on them, but he is control. Yes. For the cameras, am I controlling this pen? 100%. I'm in control of this pen.
Put it up
is
his
it
ass.
moving or is it moving? Yeah. I think I can see that. Yeah.
No,
I don't have an ironclad grip on it, but I'm controlling this pen.
I'll break it down. You threw the ball to the receiver, and he caught the ball, and then he ran out of bounds with it, and he handed it to the ref. The ball was caught. The ball never hit the ground.
Grip.
And then also, it saves a lot of the speculation. Although the ball was moving, it was moving. He had his right hand on it, but his left hand was sort of, it's like, he caught it.
Seems like a dumb thing to argue about.
Game would have ended because they were in field goal range for that 17-yard pickup or whatever, but they called it back. And then they did my least favorite thing, which is 4th and 1. We're going with a Hail Mary down the field, which is always like, just get the first, just run a few more plays, and then kick a field goal and win the game in KC, which is going to be hard enough. But no such luck.
You know, I always wonder what the equivalent conversation would be when I hear this, because you're very knowledgeable. You both know what you're talking about. Everybody's talking about it. So I just sit here and be like, what would I start talking about that your eyes would do their best not to glaze over, but you're really not sure what's going on?
You're doing a good example of it.
Thank you. Makeup tutorials. Oh. She does the windshield with the eyeshadow. Everybody knows at this point you stipple. That is such an outdated move. Wow. You got that right. You saw it. You don't have to replay that. Everybody can see it.
I guess she's old school.
You have to cut the highlighter or nobody can see the bronzer.
Bitch said rouge instead of blush.
Fuck
her.
Exactly.
All right. Also, as predicted, we were talking about this when it came to Aaron Judge. Derek Carr threw his 200th TD, and he wanted that ball because it was his 200th TD.
Oh, is this the one that Devontae Adams flung into the stands?
Yes, I said it happens. Where the wide receivers, it's kind of on the quarterback, because in the huddle I'd be like, look, we're coming up on a milestone here.
This is number 200 dropping in your hands right now.
Right. If it does go to you, please don't chuck it into the stands of KC.
Oh, Adams wide open.
Got it. Inside the 10. Devontae, touchdown. What
I feel like that's showboating.
To the very charitable Casey crowd.
Yeah, that's not even your crowd.
So I don't even know. Last we checked, he didn't get the ball back. So
and the only reason I knew his name this week is, didn't he push that camera guy?
Yeah, controversy.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? I mean, he said he apologized. Said the guy ran up on me and bumped him.
Well, there was some context.
The guy was holding like a mic stand or something. Was trying to get out of his way.
And jousting.
He was. I guess the answer of anyone who ever does anything like that, where you push a guy or do something, and you go, "No, it was just in my way." If you had won the game. And that was ruled a catch, you're juggling ball out of bounds, would you have in fact pushed that guy? And if the answer is no, then you are guilty, my friend.
That's insightful.
So the bullet train. The New York Times wrote a kind of interesting article about our bullet train. But the bullet train is a bigger example of, it's weird that America doesn't have a bullet train, that we've talked about technology, and we've talked about, as a kid, it was like the Japanese have a bullet train. It goes 300 kilometers an hour. Like,
is there really no bullet train anywhere in America?
We do not possess
I didn't know that.
a bullet train, even though it's been around since before you guys were born in Japan and other nations. And we've talked about it as a sort of, the bullet train was sort of like elect a black president before Obama, which was, when we do this, we will have entered the modern era of civilization.
We'll be in the future.
We will have a bullet train, and we will compete with the best in Europe. There is no bullet train in the United States. I would be happy with a bullet train. I would happily take it to Vegas or wherever I was going. And by the way, train travel is superb compared to air travel. You get on there, you don't have all the security stuff. You walk on and you have a few drinks, to get some reading done. You can do whatever you want on the train. It's just better than an airplane. But we don't have it here. And what people, I'm going to use this a little bit of a metaphor, which is all the people, because I grew up with a lot of these people, they talk about this stuff. Like, they go, a bullet train would be great, and then we'll have solar farms, and we'll have renewables, and we'll have windmills. It's like, will we? And then what the argument is they go, oh, so you're against bullet trains. And I'm like, I'm not against bullet trains. I'm against us trying to pull it off.
Yeah.
That's where I get worried.
Fool me once.
I wish we had a solar-powered bullet train. I would love that, or one with a windmill on it, but I don't know that we're that good. Like especially California, we do this like, we imagine what could be. It's like,
and we stop there.
And that's where we end it because we can't pull it off.
And in Europe, it's multiple countries having to work together to pull this off, and it gets done.
Well, this is, and like I said, I don't know. Technically, Chris, you can look it up, but the first bullet train in Japan had to be 1967 or something. Wow. I mean, like, we're going on a long time without a bullet train, but
64.
64.
Oh, wow.
The year I was born is when they launched a bullet train in Japan. All right. Bad news, California. When the New York Times is done with you and your bullet train, that's a problem.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Here's the story.
How California's bullet train went off the rails.
Nice.
Building the nation's first bullet train, which would connect Los Angeles and San Francisco, was always going to be a formidable technical challenge, pushing through steep mountains and treacherous seismic faults of Southern California,
like Switzerland,
with a
steep
series of long tunnels and towering viaducts. But the design for the nation's most ambitious infrastructure project was never based on the easiest or most direct route. Instead, the train's path out of Los Angeles was diverted across a second mountain range to the rapidly growing suburbs of the Mojave Desert, a route whose most salient advantage appeared to be that it ran through the district of a powerful Los Angeles County supervisor. The dogleg through the desert was only one of several times over the years when the project fell victim to political forces that have added billions of dollars in costs and called into question whether the project can ever be finished. Now, as the nation embarks on a historic $1 trillion infrastructure building spree, the tortured effort to build the country's first high-speed rail system is a case study in how ambitious public works projects can become perilously encumbered by political compromise, unrealistic cost estimates, flawed engineering, and a determination to persist on projects that have become, like the crippled financial institutions of 2008, too big to fail. A review of hundreds of pages of documents, engineering reports, meeting transcripts, and interviews with dozens of key political leaders showed that the detour through the Mojave Desert was part of a string of decisions that, in hindsight, have seriously impeded the state's ability to deliver on its promise to create a new way of transporting people in an era of climate change. Political compromises, the record shows, produced difficult and costly routes through the state's farm belt. They routed the train across a geologically complex mountain pass in the Bay Area, and they dictated the construction would begin at the center of the state, in the agricultural heartland, not at either of the urban ends where tens of millions of potential riders live. The pros and cons of these routing choices have been debated for years. Only now, though, it is becoming apparent how costly the political choices have been. Collectively, they turned a project that might have been built more quickly and cheaply into a behemoth so expensive that without a major new source of funding, there is little chance it can ever reach its original goal of connecting California's two biggest metropolitan areas in 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I think we're on year 12 of our 8-year project. Oh, is that it with the article, by the way?
Oh, there's plenty more.
Oh, boy.
It's like 9 pages.
I'm sorry. I just want to clarify something because I know we talk about this and I'm being a little bit facetious, but also not. Is this implying that we have not abandoned this project, that we're still pretending it's happening?
Well, it does. It becomes like a really bad relationship where you've invested 9 years. Right. How can you walk away from the abusive alcoholic after all the investment?
You know, the sunk cost fallacy. Yeah. I've spent so much money on this.
Good money after bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some highlights in that article, which is one of the contractors literally said, "I'm going to the middle somewhere in Africa to build because I can't deal with all this regulation and all the."
I'm going to the Banana Republic because it's easier to deal with.
I can't deal with the politics. You can't do anything. I don't think it's something I never stop harping about, but it's a really important thing, which is California is so over-regulated that we can't do things. This is the problem. Everyone thinks, it's a good idea because we'll have this and we'll save that and we'll clean the water and we'll have it. At some point, it becomes so burdensome that you can't actually do things, which is where we're at. Yeah. That's where California's at. And again, it's this sort of, come on out and let your freak flag fly, but you got to pull a permit.
Special flag permit.
Yes. I mean, literally, I want to live in a world where it's kind of interesting in that, I don't know if you guys saw any of that Tucker Kanye thing, but at a certain point, and Chris can find it. I think Gary found it for me earlier in the week, but he said something about like Elon Musk. Like, Tucker's like, Elon Musk? And he's like, yeah, the guy's brilliant. And he basically said that guy should move into the White House and just consult. Like, get people that can do things and talk to them about it. I mean, Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg are great because one's black and one's gay, but let's get the smart people to help out with the bullet train or whatever the project may be. It's you can find. I'll have them find. There's a couple of there's a budget line in there that's kind of, or a timeline and a budget line that's kind of nuts. And there's that contractor said, I'm out. We'll play we have a bullet train video that we were sitting on for months and months ago that's somebody, I think Chris, put together that'll kind of lay it out. Dawson can look for that line while we're there.
It starts in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, people don't realize, people think, you walk out of Los Angeles and you walk into San Francisco, but there's a lot of...
9-hour drive.
California Adventure.
There's a lot of land between there and not a lot of people live there.
Perhaps the most ambitious high-speed rail project in modern U.S. history was approved all the way back in 2008. It promised to take passengers across the 400-mile journey from San Francisco to Los Angeles in just 3 hours. The economic and environmental benefits were great enough to more than justify the $33 billion initial price tag. As you might have guessed, the project was perhaps the single largest and most embarrassing public infrastructure disaster in U.S. history. Overly ambitious targets, regulatory issues, and general mismanagement have turned the project into a massive money-sucking black hole. Today, more than a decade after the train was originally approved, its cost has ballooned to almost $100 billion and is yet to transport a single passenger. Even Newsom himself had to admit that the high-speed rail project was a disaster. In his first State of the State address, he said there was no path forward to completing the project as it was originally proposed.
Let's be real. The current project, as planned, would cost too much and respectfully take too long. There's been too little oversight and not enough transparency. Right now, there simply isn't a path to get from Sacramento to San Diego, let alone from San Francisco to LA. I wish there were. However, we do have the capacity to complete a high-speed rail link between Merced and Bakersfield.
Oh, great.
Most of the construction to date has been between Merced and Bakersfield, so this is the most realistic portion of the line to complete.
Hold on,
The
stop
San
for a second.
Francisco
No offense to our Merced listeners, but this is not going to help anyone.
Have any family or know anyone in either one of those towns? Or
I've been through Bakersfield a few times.
You drive through these places in your car.
There's like a serial killer out there somewhere.
Yes, there's a serial killer.
Yeah.
And by the way, the bullet train is not 250 miles an hour. It's 65 miles an hour. It's not even a technical bullet train. You're doing
trolley.
You're making better time in your Prius when you're driving through those towns.
And how does he say with a straight face, there's not been enough transparency, a lot of people messed up? Who do we blame, motherfucker?
I think he can wash his hands of it because it's probably Jerry Brown
Yes.
or whoever
Oh,
was
okay,
beforehand.
good.
They'll blame it on
Gotcha.
Brown.
Gotcha.
Yes, that's why I said that.
And LA has almost 4 million. Merced, Francisco Bay Area has been between Merced and Bakersfield, so this is the most realistic portion of the line to complete. The San Francisco Bay Area has almost 8 million people, and LA has almost 4 million. Merced, on the other hand, is a small city with a population of 82,000. Bakersfield is larger with a population of 400,000, but it's by no means a metropolis. The new, smaller plan is expected by many observers to cost a grand total of up to $100 billion and not be completed until 2029. This is 9 years later and almost $70 billion more expensive than the original plan. And given California's track record of delays, even these estimates could prove optimistic. To put the $100 billion price tag into perspective, California has 160,000 homeless people, which is more than any other state in the country. With this money, you could give every one of them $625,000. At current estimates, the cost per mile of building the high-speed rail in California is more than $150 million per mile. According to the World Bank, China builds its domestic high-speed rail for $30 million per mile, or roughly 1/5 of California. The fact of the matter is, the US just isn't well suited to building large-scale, complex public infrastructure projects. The legal system is too slow to deal with eminent domain cases on a large scale, and the environmental regulations are too restrictive. In a place like China, it's much easier for the government to acquire private property, and their environmental regulations are far more relaxed.
Oh.
Joe Biden has often been called Amtrak Joe by the media because of his long-standing support for railroad development. In his $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, he is allocating $66 billion to railways. There is also $10 billion in funding earmarked for high-speed rail, of which California will likely get at least a couple billion to help finish their Merced to Bakersfield line. Many rail advocates were disappointed in the infrastructure plan, as less than 1% of the money was allocated to high-speed rail. But given the money sink that the California rail experiment has been, we should be perhaps grateful that Biden is limiting the country's losses to just $10 billion.
All right, so it's never going to work, but it's never going to work because we are so fucking regulated and so insane. We just can no longer. Yeah, imagine trying to build the Golden Gate Bridge starting tomorrow.
Impossible.
First off, there would be a decade of delays just from crazy environmental cunts who sued you.
The 9 years and $100 million, as we say in the gambling world, I'll take the over.
Right.
On both. I'll parlay them.
Did you find the rest of that article there?
Yeah, here's the stuff on the budget. When California voters first approved a bond issue for the project in 2008, the rail line was to be completed by 2020. And its cost seemed astronomical at the time, $33 billion. But it was still considered worthwhile as an alternative to the state's endless web of freeways and carbon emissions generated in one of the nation's busiest air corridors. 14 years later...
Let me just jump in here and say, this is why, pardon me for being a little dubious, when we say in California we're going all electric cars and big trucks by 2035.
I'll take the over on that,
We'll
too.
clean the air. Yeah. It's to clean the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm with you, except for if it doesn't happen, then we're not cleaning the air. And this is another green deal that's going to be better for the air rather than Southwest flights, burning the Jet A, except for it's contingent on it being actually being there. Yeah, sorry.
Meanwhile, costs have continued to escalate. When the California High-Speed Rail Authority issued its new 2022 draft business plan in February, it estimated an ultimate cost as high as $105 billion. Less than 3 months later, the final plan raised the estimate to $113 billion. The Rail Authority said it has accelerated the pace of construction on the starter system, but at the current spending rate of $1.8 million a day, according to projections widely used by engineers and project managers, the train could not be completed this century.
Oh, my God.
All right. But and what I ever get is like, you talk to people and they're like, yeah, my kid's school doesn't have air conditioning. It's like, because we can't afford to put an air conditioner. It's like, do we have money or do we not have money? That's what always drives me nuts. No one in your lifetime will ever ride this train, and it'll just be billions of dollars. But all I'm saying is when politicians start talking about the future, they got a nice 3D model of it. That's great. But I want to see a fucking track record. Like I said, if Elon Musk starts talking about boring through the Sepulveda Pass and putting a channel through there, I'm all fucking ears because this guy put a Tesla in outer space. Mm-hmm. But I'm not so sure about the California legislator. Did you find the comment, though? I still got to find the comment of the contractor who wants to go to Lebanon or something and build. It's just an easier... I'll give you a second to look that up.
While he's looking for that, I remember when we voted on this, it was at least a decade ago, whatever, because I know we were all at KLSX and this was a big hot topic. Couldn't there be a caveat that, yes, we vote for it until it reaches this amount, and if it's reached this amount of money and we've laid this amount of track,
it triggers a refund?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Because now I'm like, well, what? I'm paying for this?
We have the clip from the contractor, the statement from the contractor. Dawson's sneezing.
The company's recommendations for a direct route out of Los Angeles and a focus on moving people between Los Angeles and San Francisco were cast aside, said Dan McNamara, a career project manager for SNCF. That's apparently the company that's helping. The company pulled out in 2011. There were so many things that went wrong, Mr. McNamara said. SNCF was very angry. They told the state they were leaving for North Africa, which was less politically dysfunctional.
Wow.
They went to Morocco and helped develop a rail system.
Let's look in the mirror time.
Yeah, it's gut check time.
Got to scale it down, government. The adding... everyone just picture the beach sign, putting a new rule on every year. And you think of it as progress. It is not.
No trains.
Can't get anything done. All right, but on a happier note from movement, transportation, and technology, we'll play the Kanye clip just to, again, it's like, look, I know Mark Garagos or Dr. Drew or Jimmy Kimmel, and sometimes people say to me, you want to do this, you want to do that? And I'll go, let me check with smart people and see what their take is. I wish we did that as a government. But all right, here we go.
I think it's insane for an administration to not use a talent like Elon Musk more. Like, if I was in or once I am, I will eventually be president before, in my lifetime.
No, Rapport said.
But if I was in office right now, I would be calling Elon every day. I'd have him sleeping in the White House. I'd say, how do we use our platform as the most influential?
Find the smart people. Ask them how to get shit done. All right. Now, anyway, in good news, we've talked to Navy SEALs that talked about having to board vessels at night with Zodiac boats and grappling hooks and stuff like that. And I think talked to one or two about using a jetpack.
Yeah.
The water-propelled
There's
ones?
new
No,
video.
not the water-propelled ones. Just the actual jetpack.
The British video?
The British have
it's
one.
Awesome.
Are these the hand-activated
You'll
ones?
see. It's crazy.
The jetpacks in the past, like they had jetpack guys flying over the second Super Bowl, but it lasted for like 13 seconds and not that practical.
A lot of heels getting burned off.
Yes, this is them traveling literally in New York Harbor, going from ship to ship, which is kind of what there is a practical application for a jetpack. It is leaving your ship that is pulled up next to the Iranian tanker ship that is making a run at night and boarding it with it's handheld. It's pretty crazy. There's even more of it. It turns
your arms, your hands, for people listening, into giant like Iron Man hands.
Yeah.
Yes, but Chris will find some more. I think there's one of two guys.
That was two.
Buzzing
There was a guy
around.
in front of him.
Yeah, it's even more. They're kind of next to each other and buzzing around. There's more dramatic footage of it, but it doesn't
This could be helpful
matter.
in hurricane situations.
Yeah, the guy's flying around. It's insane. Now, look, we could never use it in California because it wouldn't have a catalytic converter on it, and it only used leaded fuel or something. There'd be
Unless it's powered by leaf blowers.
Yes, you could make one out of a leaf blower. So I was looking at the vid, and like I said, there's more vid out there of it that's kind of even cooler. But I was staring at it this morning going, wow, this is cool. Last 10 minutes, I think the guys could go, I think they said 80 miles an hour, blah, blah, blah. But I was noticing, you know what really jumped out on me? Guys are wearing berets.
Yeah.
No helmet.
True.
If that was a thing in the United States, they would be wearing a helmet. Yeah. You would not be able to fly in that jetpack without first donning essentially would be a matte black bike helmet that you could get on Amazon for $23, but the Pentagon would charge us $17,000 for the helmet, and we'd have to have the helmet approved and tested and everything else. But those guys were wearing berets, not helmets. And I thought, I like that. That is cool. Yeah, there's I saw it on the news. Yeah, this is what I was watching, guys, flying the British flag, the Union Jack, and he's just buzzing around in his beret and his no helmet and his sunglasses and just going from ship to ship.
They make it look pretty effortless.
Pretty damn cool. And pretty damn best recruitment tool since Top Gun, right?
Yeah,
I mean, in terms
yeah.
of wanting to get people signed up.
I wanna do
I want to
this.
be in the jetpack league. Absolutely unbelievable. All right.
It's pretty sweet.
Speaking of flight, Kevin Hench sent me a Neil deGrasse Tyson tweet because I was on one of my rants. And you guys will know the rant. It was my Top Gun rant.
Aha.
And at football a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. I saw this tweet.
And Neil, I don't know if he heard me or he just put this out there.
He's in the zeitgeist.
Late to the party here, but this year's Top Gun movie, Tom Cruise's character Maverick ejects from a hypersonic plane at Mach 10.5 before it crashed. He survived with no injuries. At that speed, his body would splatter like a
chainmail glove swatting a worm. Just saying.
Oh, that wasn't even the one I read.
Oh.
He must have another one out there. Hench sent me another one.
Oh, that's funny.
This leads to a fun. Have you seen the fun fan theory about the movie?
No.
The theory
yeah.
ties into this, which is Maverick dies in that scene, and the rest of the movie is his.
Shut up.
Is a Jacob Ladder situation.
Everybody shut up. They say the same thing. You know that scene in Breaking Bad where he's surrounded by the cops? He died then, and the rest is just a feat. Like, shut up. Not you, Bryan,
this
but
is
them.
the other.
I'm only telling what I read.
When Maverick ejected at Mach 10.5, he was going 7,000 miles per hour, giving him 400 million joules of kinetic energy, the explosive power of 100 kilogram of TNT, a situation that human physiology is not designed to survive. So no, Maverick does not walk away from this. He be dead, very dead.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm into the fan theory.
You know what's so funny? I think Neil deGrasse Tyson got on everyone's radar initially by basically doing this with Gravity. Remember the Sandra Bullock, George Clooney?
Oh, right.
That's how we all found out who he was, because he was disproving everything about the movie and pissing everyone off.
All right, let me hit a spot here. Good Ranchers. Halloween's around the corner, people. You're not the only one who's going to be in a costume. So a lot of grocery store meat is wearing a costume as well. Product of the USA. That label doesn't make it the real thing, you know? It doesn't have spooky meats. Good Ranchers. They deliver America's best meat and seafood year-round. Skip the meat aisle. I've tried the other meat delivery companies, and Good Ranchers is the best. It's only comes from American farms. And this is good, high-quality protein. Elevate your burgers, your meatballs, your tacos with my exclusive offer. 2 free pounds of Wagyu ground beef, plus $20 off when you use the code Adam at goodranchers.com/Adam. That's goodranchers.com/Adam. Right, Dawson?
Put an end to low-quality, overpriced meat by going to goodranchers.com/Adam or use code Adam to claim your 2 pounds of free ground beef and $20 off. You save $25 on every box and lock in your price when you subscribe. That's goodranchers.com/Adam.
Jorge Masvidal, one of the baddest guys in the UFC. He's the guy who has the record for the fastest knockout. I think we saw it.
We saw that. It was
Flying knee. I think it was about
4 seconds in the fight or something. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do a thing where they'll tack on a few more seconds because it took the ref a second to call it or whatever. But he ran across however long it takes to run forward 9 feet and throw your knee into someone's skull is how long it took, which is not 9 seconds. It was like 4 seconds. It's crazy. All right, we'll talk to Ann. Started off doing a lot of backyard fighting as well.
Nice.
We have some sort of Kimbo Slice style. We'll talk to Jorge right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Boone County, Arkansas. A 48-year-old man was charged with endangering the welfare of a minor after his 5-year-old daughter confirmed that he cut off his leg in front of her using a chop saw. Definitely not a Jew.
Jorge Masvidal, one of the scariest guys in the UFC, has joined us. Good to see you, Jorge.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
We're doing well. I think everyone's a fan of mixed martial arts, is a fan of yours, because Jorge always brings the action, always brings the aggression, always has the mentality. And we'll get into the event we're talking about, iKon Fighting Championship. That's coming up October 14th, and it's streaming on UFC Fight Pass. Tickets are on sale now. Jorge, so you started fighting. Did you start doing backyard fighting back in the day?
Yeah, long time ago, before I turned professional. Just some neighborhoods down in Miami, you know.
How old were you?
Young, man. So my teens.
And what made you think it was a good idea?
Well, I wanted to fight, and I knew this would be a good way to get some competition in. And what really solidified it was that the guy that asked me to compete in the backyard was Kimbo Slice. And you guys might be too young, but Kimbo Slice was like this huge figure on YouTube. Like, before anybody had 100 views, he already had like 40 million views. Like, Kimbo, I remember being like the first YouTube bona fide star, you know, and then everybody else came rest. Even like music videos back then weren't popping like that. It was like the Kimbo videos and like, I don't know, somebody getting shot or something in the head were like the highest viewed videos, you know. And Kimbo asked me to compete in his backyard, and I said, hell yeah, let's go, man. And 20 years later, I'm here.
Yeah, Kimbo passed away. Kimbo was sort of a combination of B.A. Baracus from the A-Team and Mike Tyson. It's kind of, he was sort of like the real-life version of that guy. He ended up going to the UFC and like made a few waves, had a few wins, but also had a few losses because I don't think his game was probably mixed, you know, wasn't balanced as well as a lot of guys were. Would that be an accurate assessment of Kimbo?
He played for...
Yeah, got a bad connection. I'll do another 20 minutes on Kimbo.
Oh, good.
He's kind of first off, like the most menacing looking guy on the planet. Also a guy who shaved his chest hair into a shape.
What shape would that be?
I don't know if it was an arrow or what it was.
Spiderweb.
Oh, boy.
Most people...
You have to have a thicket to make that happen.
Most people either leave the chest hair alone altogether or shave it off altogether. Mm-hmm. He used his as a canvas.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And he made this like arrow looking thing. I mean, I don't know the spider web, but he was yoked and jacked at the same time where you're looking at it, right, Gina?
I mean, he looks menacing is the right word.
Am I right to say he has an arrow?
Yeah, it's an arrow. Sorry, the spider was a tattoo.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out how you shave a spider web in your chest hair, and I was like, that seems nearly, or maybe confusing.
Also, the sort of friar's top of the bald head actually looks scarier.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't, yes, because that's a man has
seen
nothing to lose, and he's loved and lost. Yeah, so we'll see if, but anyway, I guess in Miami, there was a lot of backyard fighting. And
there was a documentary, guys. Remember this Dogfight?
Yeah.
Dogfight was solid. It's about backyard brawl, about Kimbo.
Scariest part of that doc is the moms who showed up with the folding chairs.
And the gamble.
And their young son. You know, and then there was all the cottage industries. You know, someone's going to cook up some hot dogs.
Sure.
Someone's going to make
Get that slow cooker going.
Some sweet tea. You know?
Water,
Yeah, so people would show up and they would just fight in the backyard. I don't know what the rules were. I don't know what there's weight divisions. I don't know if there's a belt that went around.
There's like no weapons allowed, and after that, it's fucking literally knock yourself out.
Yeah, literally. So Kimbo, scariest guy in the world, ends up going to the UFC, of course, after getting millions and millions of downloads in backyard. And he can brawl, but at a certain point, it goes from a brawl to a sport.
Right, like where's the jujitsu? Where's that kind of training?
Yeah, because you would need wrestling, jujitsu, submissions. You know, it's a jujitsu. You'd have to be able to strike and kick, and it turns into this whole thing. And his thing was kicking ass on the neighbors, but not so. And I'm sure he got some training. I don't know, what did Kimbo end up at?
Literally, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Did he end up at like 4-4 or something like that in the UFC? Which
UFC mixed martial arts record is 8. Oh, sorry, total 8, 5-4.
Oh, I was way off.
Yeah.
Also, scariest name.
Oh, sorry, 5-2. Excuse me. 5-2.
Who did he lose to? Well, he had a couple. And the point is by the time he got to see, UFC guys are super scary now because they're training. They start training at age 9 because the shit's been around that long. Back in the day, it was like, oh, this guy's a kickboxer and this guy's a college wrestler, and we're going to see who wins. And now everyone just trains in martial arts. Yeah. Oh, Matt Matrone and I don't know who the next guy was. All right, so you want to try to get Jorge on a landline?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
What were his stats? Like height? Like was he tall? I remember seeing him with little tiny girlfriends, but that didn't really give me an accurate.
I don't think Kimbo was exceptionally tall. I think he
built like a brick shit.
Yeah, a little more of a Mike
6'2",
Tyson. Oh, that was big.
6'2", 225 I'm seeing now.
Here's, we'll see Jorge Masvidal knock out Ben Askren, who's the wrestler. Boom and boom.
Good night.
And then he punches him 2 more times.
For good luck.
While he's passed out.
Play to the echo of the whistle.
And then he lays on the ground and fishes while Ben is concussed. Hey, my feeling is you can mock all you want if, in fact, you were a backyard fighter in Miami back in the day.
These guys are tremendous athletes. They've been cutting weight for probably weeks. Do you think he broke a sweat?
No, not now. He just ran and
maybe in the
boom.
victory dance.
Yeah,
that was more effort.
That is the easiest payday you're ever going to get in the ring. And Ben Askren came back and fought Jake Paul and lost.
Oh boy.
But Ben is a high-level wrestler, but not a striker. So then they went and they boxed, and he couldn't keep up that way. All right, I'll go on to other subjects if Chris can't get Jorge back. Let's see. Street
line 1.
Back. Line 1. Oh, he's on line 1. Jorge. Let's see. Jorge.
He's ducking you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. All right. So I'm interested in your story. When you getting back in the octagon? What's going on with the UFC?
Oh, I'm just waiting, man. I'm just waiting, training. Got some things to take care of first. Get all these ducks in a row, back in there. But right now, I don't got a word here. We don't got nothing in concrete.
What's your take on the Jake Paul Anderson Silva fight?
My take is that Anderson Silva's gonna beat his ass.
Now, are you saying that because you're a UFC guy, or are you saying it because Anderson is just that good?
I don't know, man. I haven't seen Anderson struggling in the hands department with many guys in his career. Now, obviously, he's not a prime world champion Anderson Silva, but Jake Paul that I just, even the lesser version of Anderson Silva wins this fight easy. And not that Tito's a world beater or well, it was Tito, right? The last fight that Anderson Silva had boxing.
Yeah.
Not that Tito's the greatest with the hands, but the way that he moves, the way he turns his hips, the way he dodges punches is just better than I've seen anything from Jake Paul on the boxing side. Plus, he's longer, he's bigger, way more experienced. So I think this is a good one for Anderson Silva.
You gonna put some money down?
Definitely, I'm gonna put some money down. If the odds are right, I don't like betting on the favorites because you got to put a lot of money.
That's 2 UFC legends in a row.
Without hesitation.
Without hesitation. But again, Jake, who we interviewed last week, just seems to he surprises somebody every time he has a fight. Jorge, you must consider doing some boxing every once in a while. Anyone talk to you about celebrity type boxing in this new world order where everyone's just getting paid?
Definitely. But I'm contracted to the UFC by the UFC for the UFC, so it's like they gotta sign off on that first, if I go into boxing or not.
And is it? And do you think they would?
I think if it made sense, they'd entertain it.
We have there's a note on my screen that says street bare-knuckle backyard fight versus Raye, but I don't know what that means.
You wanted a clip of a backyard fight, so this is a guy versus a guy named Raye. This is
okay.
A guy named Raye.
You probably don't have to word it that way.
Well, because he rematches the guy too. So I'm sure Jorge knows who Raye is.
Oh, okay. But you could say clip of Jorge fighting. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Versus Raye.
Sure.
Here we go.
Let's go, baby.
Oh, it's kicking too. Oh, okay. This is mixed martial.
Got up, Ray. Get up, Ray. There you go. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Back forward, drop. Back forward, strike and block. Let's go. Keep it up.
Raye seems pretty tough.
It's a nice backyard.
There you go. Relax. There you go. There you go.
I gotta say, I get pissed off because my neighbor's gardener uses a leaf blower, but I'm gonna apologize to that guy because
Could be so much worse.
This could be a neighbor. This is bare knuckle fighting in a backyard.
When it comes in, you counter. There you go.
Trying to have a quinceañera next door.
Double jab.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, now they're mixing it up. Now they're mixing it up.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Doesn't seem to be. I don't know the way. All right, we got it. Oh, Jorge, what are the rules for the backyard bare knuckle fight?
No guns, no knives, no mace.
Yeah, no
you
weapons.
couldn't kick in the balls. You couldn't poke in the eyeball. Your friends weren't allowed to jump in. That's about it.
Oh.
Is there any divisions like
weight class?
Would Kimbo fight
Coddling these guys.
a middleweight?
Yeah, like there wasn't weight classes, but like one guy's 180, the other guy's 200 pounds. All right, 20 pounds, let's go. It's kind of like that, at least from what I saw a lot of the times. It wasn't like commission ran,
And
so it was like the eyeball test. Like, you guys look about 15 pounds off. Let's do it. Boom.
did you? How many fights you reckon you had in the backyard department?
In Kimbo's backyard, I had 2 exactly. In backyards throughout Miami, a good amount. Like 15 of them.
Was there money to be made?
Most of the time, yeah. Once we found out that we can make money off it, me and my friends would just, bet some money, come up with some money together, fight the next toughest guy over and the next neighborhood over. We'd all come up with like $120 because everybody got money from somewhere and put it all together, and then that's what we'd bet. So it started off like that, very like kid friendly and this and that, and then it grew up into my livelihood, which I always loved it. I knew since I was doing it then already. I already knew that this would be the way that I'd provide for myself.
In those early days, you must have known the guys, or at least know their brothers, or like growing up playing football against them in high school, things like that. Were they just dudes you kind of knew? Like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Sometimes, yeah, it was some dudes that I knew, like from the gym or something, same gym in Miami. And sometimes, more times than not, it's probably like a random person, like, hey, so-and-so is an amateur kickboxer, he'd want to fight, and then bam, the fight got made.
Wow.
Are you looking to get Conor McGregor in the octagon?
I wouldn't mind breaking Conor McGregor's face in the octagon.
God, awesome.
Is he... he had a really bad injury last time he fought. Is he coming back? Do you know?
I don't know. I heard that when your vagina hurts so much, it's hard to come back from it. So I have no idea if he's coming back or not.
I vouch for that.
Wait, is that true, Gina?
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. Would Conor McGregor? Do people duck people in the UFC? Like, you would be a guy who people would want to duck. You wouldn't duck the champion because you want your shot at the belt, but you don't want guys that are ranked at number 11, I think, where you're currently at, who are super badasses. Is there any ducking? They would do it in boxing. People wouldn't want to fight Ernie Shavers. He was too dangerous. They would avoid.
I saw
fights.
Rocky 3. I know.
Yeah. Is there any ducking in the UFC, or people ever duck you?
Oh, definitely is ducking. Is it's so political. It's stylistically, if the matchup is favorable to so and so, and blah 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 blah. Especially now with the new generation, the kids have been much more nitpicky. The UFC more so used to be more like, you're fighting this guy and that's it. And if you don't want to fight, well, then that's it. It was only the UFC, and there was nothing else you could do about it. Now, with all these promotions and the UFC kind of giving guys a little bit more freedom to choose fights, people do fuck a lot of people left and right now.
When you fight, are you ever nervous, or are you mostly angry?
I'm mostly not angry. Usually it's kind of like, a way to explain is like I was going to play a pickup basketball game, and it was for a lot of money and a lot of pride, and everything was on the line in that basketball game. I'm not necessarily mad, whoever it is that I'm fighting, even if I don't like the individual. It's just more so that I got to be at peace with myself and bring my skills and my tools every time. You think fighting, immediately you're going to think emotions and your heart rate's bumping and adrenaline, so you might do things that you probably shouldn't do in a fight with there's so much science involved. If I'm in a street fight, yeah, you go wild, but in a fight, you have to keep your emotions in check. You got to make the best decisions constantly, and you have to be sharp as ever. You can't be second guessing yourself, hesitant on your opponent, things like that. So your mind has to be right. So more than ever, I'm just calm, cool, and like ready to go. I get antsy, because usually I'm main event, right? So I'm in the back there sitting for days, man, just wanting to kick somebody's ass already. So I get a little antsy and stuff.
Yeah, always. The most nervous I think a position could be, and I don't know if the UFC uses these. You can tell me, but boxing uses these. There are guys there who don't know if they're going to fight or not that night. Why? Because if you put on a card and you have like 5 fights on a card, and there's a bunch of first round knockouts, the 3-hour evening is an hour because it was such quick knockouts. And so they'll have fighters there going, if this thing, if the fight's going to the 5th round or go the full, you're not working tonight. But
it's like an open mic.
But you got to be here.
Right.
Yeah, and you got to be ready.
You might get bumped.
And I would be sitting there hoping all the fights went long if I were that guy. But you got to, if there is first rounds, and does the UFC do that? I mean, probably not on big tickets, but on smaller tickets.
Not that I know of. I've never heard of them having people like that. What they will do is have people ready to make weight if somebody was to get injured and not make weight.
Oh, right. So they'll have a backup tapped
understudy
ready to go. Who do you like in the UFC right now? Who are a couple guys you think are pretty impressive?
I like Dustin Poirier, man. I think he's a beast. He's coming up now with Chandler. I think he's about to break Chandler's face off. I like Gamrot also. At 155 pounds as well. He's a fucking stud. Ilya Tapuria is another beast at 145 pounds. Another guy at 145 that I like a lot is Mozart. He's also an American top team, another stud. What else we got?
What do you think about John Jones? Is he coming back? Where is this guy? John Jones is crazy. He's the most dominant force in UFC for a million years, but then gets into trouble with the law and gets into domestic issues and substance issues, but then comes back and then goes away again and then bulks up and puts on 40 pounds of muscle, and then you don't hear from him. Like, do you know John Jones, and do you have any idea like what his status is?
I got no idea what his status is, to tell you the truth, man. I have no fucking clue. I just, I every once in a while, I'll see his face on the internet, and like you said, he's like 40, 50 pounds bigger. Looks like a fucking pro bodybuilder now and shit, I don't know. I'm assuming that he's going to fight, right? I heard Stipe Miocic was in the works, and it was either like very close to being signed or something like that. So I thought that would be the next fight, and then from there, obviously, he'd fight Francis if he won that one. But I guess that one didn't end up going through or something.
So the John Jones UFC story would almost be like if Tom Brady, you'd lose track of him for 2 years, and then he'd come back into the league and win a Super Bowl, and then people go, what happened to Tom Brady? I think he got into scraps with the law, and then he'd go away again, and then he'd show up looking completely different and dominate again, and then he'd go away, and no one really knows what the future is, and it's like speculation. It's so bizarre. So I think everyone's kind of rooting for that because John's got to be getting close to 40 now, right?
Yeah, I think he's in his 30s. I have no idea how old he is, but I think he's in his 30s. So I think. Hey.
35 only. Crazy.
35. Yeah, he's got time.
Gina?
I'm wondering if you have thoughts about the females coming up and, now, Ronda Rousey out of it, but like Holly Holm. Like, what do you think of the women that have become champions that are basically household names that I personally wouldn't know if they weren't champions? And were there ever female backyard fights?
Oh, yeah. I think some girls scrapped it out. Obviously, with the women's MMA, love it. I saw it explode from Strikeforce, Ronda Rousey carrying that torch from Strikeforce, and the UFC saying women are not going to fight in the UFC, and then overnight, Ronda takes over the UFC. It was like the craziest shit ever, and it was in the shortest of spans that she took over. So it was amazing to see that. Then I got to see other amazing fighters, and I got to be a teammate and around her 7 years of greatness in the sport. That she was an American top team, Amanda Nunes. So definitely love watching the chicks fight. As long as they come to fight.
Yeah.
I guess there weren't any sanctioned female backyard fights, but I bet a couple moms went at it.
A couple,
or a couple of sisters.
Soccer moms over
Don't
parking
hurt my
spots.
baby.
couple undercards.
Yeah, the thing that's funny about the UFC is it's kind of like society. Like way back when, it was like no UFC, no, these are animals fighting. We can't have this. And then it was like, all right, we'll do it, but not New York. Nothing in New York. And then at some point they were like, fine, New York,
money.
no women.
Obviously not
but
women.
No women. And someone has to stand up and go, look, whatever the proclamation is, like we shall have 2 separate drinking fountains. Like somebody just stand up and go, yeah, let's just fast forward to the part where we're not doing this or doing it. Because that's how the UFC is, and now the women have the skill level to make the fights as exciting as a lot of the men's fights, and one could argue fight more angry. I would say than the average man who's focused on technique a little more. Jorge, let me give you a plug. iKon Fighting Championships. It's coming up October 14th. Streaming on UFC Fight Pass. Tickets are on sale now. And shoot Jorge a tweet. At Gamebred Fighter. That's what I wanted to say. So, Jorge, next time you got a fight coming up, why don't you hop on with us and tell us all about it?
Yeah, for sure, man. Hell yeah.
And we'll see if we can get Conor McGregor to get in with you. Conor McGregor's
his vagina's okay.
An icon, but I don't know that he would be a favorite against Jorge Masvidal because he's a little older, had a pretty bad injury last time he was in there.
Well, 2 showmen for sure.
Gotten a couple of losses. Yeah. Although I feel like Jorge means it.
I heard that like when your vagina hurts so much, it's hard to come back from it. So I have no idea if he's coming back or not.
He's a doctor.
All right. Josh Wolf, comedian, is going to come in a second. First, I'll tell you guys about Stamps.com. Holidays have a way of sneaking up on us. Oh, yes, they do, especially for small businesses. Get prepared. Get Stamps.com, the 24/7 post office you can access anywhere. I've used these guys for 12 plus years to ship merch, books, paperwork, plus exclusive discounts like up to 86% off UPS rates. Rates are constantly changing with Stamps.com. Switch and save feature. You can compare carriers and rates and get the best deal every single time. Sign up with the promo code Adam for a special offer including a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the home page Enter Adam and save a whole bunch of money on a longtime sponsor, Stamps.com. All right, comedian Josh Wolf in the studio right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. It takes a big man to admit when he's wrong, and I think Gavin Newsom got your number. You challenged him to control the traffic in Los Angeles. And come on, by banning gas-powered cars, going electric, and now not being able to charge your electric car, traffic is going to be gone. Checkmate, brother. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
It is. It will dramatically impact traffic. People not operating vehicles.
Not
That's
able
true.
to drive.
Josh Wolf is in studio. Josh has dates coming up. Portland, Oregon, Healing Comedy Club. Portland, been there. Great club. That'll be tomorrow and Saturday as you hear this. And Omaha, Nebraska, coming up, Funny Bone. That'll be October 21st and 22nd. Good to see you, Josh.
Good to be here, man. I appreciate you having me.
I guess what people know you for is your YouTube show, or a lot of what they know you for, the Family Tussle, where you compete with your 25-year-old son.
Yeah. The show premieres tomorrow. I got a huge YouTube following, but, I had pitched this show to 1,000 execs, and they all told me what it could or couldn't or was or wasn't. And I've started to just do much like you, man. Like, you are truly like an inspiration for a lot of us comics. I was like, I'm just going to do this myself. I'm done with them telling me what's funny and not funny and what I can and can't do. So we shot 10 episodes. It is without a doubt the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I had an advantage early in this business, which is, a lot of people go, who's your daddy? Your daddy ran. My advantage was my dad, which is my dad didn't like me that much. So I was like, what are the chances anyone else? Why would a stranger like me if my dad isn't a fan? And I took that momentum into every aspect of show business where I went, nobody likes you. Your family doesn't like you. You shall have to do your own thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it with headshots or Z cards or padded resumes. Gina probably has one somewhere.
Yeah. From 6 years old.
All bad. I'd love to see the montage.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
What's his Z card?
The front. Oh, God. You know what, Chris?
Multi-costumed.
I'm going to put Chris on a quest, which is bad 80s Z card.
They're so good.
It's basically like Halloween costumes for adults.
No. I mean, could be. The front of your Z card was like a little modeling cards for like kind of like a buck slip for modeling or something.
Type thing?
Yeah. The front should be a legit shot of you trying to look as good as you can look in a blouse or suit or something.
But
then the back has you in the baseball cap with the black eye holding the ball up.
The
like,
stethoscope.
You're basically the cover photo of every bad costume at Oz.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's like you and the doctor holding a stethoscope like this.
And if you're the 55-year-old balding guy, we need the short order cook in the back with the spatula.
An apron, chewing gum with a bill.
Construction foreman.
Bandana with a jean vest.
Yeah, looking like a tough cholo.
This would be used instead of a headshot?
In congruence with.
Yes.
Okay.
We would say, here's what this person looks like when they're going to a funeral or a wedding. And here's what they would look like if they were a marauding biker.
Right. And here's what a child would look like if she was a dusty orphan.
That's
right.
Oh, my.
Yes. And
I know celebrities have cards.
Oh, sure.
Like before they got famous.
Oh yeah,
I've seen George Clooney's. I think Clooney had a doctor one. I think he had one. But those Z cards were the absolute best. They were the old '80s ones. Were just like. Did you have one?
No, I didn't believe. Why would anyone want to see my Z card? I didn't waste. I had roommates who had them. I was like, "You're a fool. No one wants." Why would anyone hire me based on what I looked like?
What was when you started doing stand up? Did you gimmick it up at all? Did you think, oh, I got to wear these type of clothes, or I got to wear a hat? I know I did, but was there any did you go into it with any gimmick
Think
idea?
back to 3 years ago.
That's
3 years ago, I got up on stage. No, the very first stand-up routine I did at the Comedy Store in the mid-'80s, I went up as a lounge act character because I didn't have an act. I had this Vic Vegas thing that it's a stupid rip-off of Saturday Night Live or whatever. I had a
Bill
that was-
Murray.
yeah,
Star
Bill Murray.
Wars.
Yeah, that was the one.
Star Wars.
It was once, and then after that, it was just failure. But that was I wore the mask of failure. I hid behind the facade. I dressed in the garb.
You almost killed
of
Josh.
failure.
Oh, I've worn that garb also, the failure garb for sure. But I thought when I first started, I remember saying to my mom, I was like, I need to have a certain look. So it was like in the 90s. So I went, like that, the hat that Rocky wore in the first Rocky?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Mhm,
One
right.
of those hats, vest. With a black motorcycle jacket over the vest with the hat. It was like Color Me Bad. You remember that band?
Sure.
I had
yeah.
I had a ponytail. Oh, come on.
Was Dice running around? But was that Dice semi-inspired? I mean, Dice was a guy who went up there with an
Yeah.
outfit, but people had
Shtick.
facades and
Judy
outfits.
Tenuta.
It didn't.
Yes.
It didn't affect my act at all.
Right.
I just felt like I was like when people see me, they're like, "Oh, that's the vest guy." That's what I was thinking in my head. Oh, he's the vest guy. So,
Sorry, Chris, you may be a little late to the Zed card party, but let's see if we can. Celebrity ones are good, but we can also just the worst is also
The best.
Also, the best is as well. You probably have to go to the 80s, I think.
oh, that's a good example right there.
But it's not showing. It's
Where's the
like the
costume
back
lady?
of the card had the costume
Yeah.
part.
Where's the
like his
pomp?
guy could. Also, as a casting director, you should be able to imagine a guy in a cop's outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't. You don't go. I don't see it. Like you should be able to imagine him wearing a hat. Or you're not a good casting director, right?
Yeah,
That's a good point.
If you can only cast them when they're dressed the way they're supposed to be dressed in the show, you're probably going to minimize the
All
amount
right.
of people you can see.
Chris, this is worthless.
Yeah.
You have to find the different jobs.
I'm
the
really-
cooks
I'm
and
up in
the-
that.
Oh, you know another one that was big? If you were a husky boy, you had to dress as the bully.
Yes.
With a fist and maybe a little wristband.
Mm-hmm.
A lot's coming back to me right now.
Wow.
Beth Ringwald, Molly's sister, lived up the street, and she had
Oh, let's find
the
that
Zed
one.
card.
Mine
And
did.
I also remember looking at it going, what an amazing financial investment your family's
Yeah,
made.
it's like
you.
$300.
These are 4 different separate pictures. There's costume changes, lighting. This had to be all of $40.
Photographer, print these.
Who has this kind of princely
King
sum?
Midas.
He's got this money to throw away.
I remember looking at this is rare. And what if it doesn't work out?
Oh, God, what
Then
you
left with
sunk
300
into.
cards.
What was your first headshot? Do you remember your first headshot? Do you have your first headshot?
Yeah, I had a girlfriend who had a guy. Well, you're still looking at modeling ones though.
Look for like the dude dressed as like a
dude
firefighter.
ones.
And a
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. Don't look for model Zed cards. Look for
Did
dude.
did his
dude ones.
girlfriend take the picture of you jumping rope, bare chested? Because I'll be honest, that one holds up. It looks
That-
as
Get a
good
room,
today
you
as it
two.
did back then.
No, okay. My girlfriend knew a guy called Banana Man. He was one of these guys that just
Banana Man?
You know when you're talentless and then you have to kind of pick a personality and you just become the lady who collects all things hippos,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
banana guy,
Yeah.
and you have the mug and the stuffed animals or
Yeah.
something. The Banana Man worked in like the Pasadena area. She knew him. He took pictures of her and she said, "You need headshots," and then the banana guy will do it. The skipping the rope thing was years later when I was working on as a stand-in on the movie Judgment Night.
Look at you.
Sure.
Wait, Banana Man took your first headshot?
Banana Man. Oh, now we're looking
That's
at
Elijah Wood. Just found that. He's like a nerdy kid with a payphone. He's some sort of baby lifeguard and maybe another member of Color Me Bad.
I think he was supposed to be a jock in that picture. He's
Oh,
holding
is that
a
what that is?
ball.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that seems right.
There you go.
Jock, doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he said jock more than Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
My brother's was sliding into home plate. And
Your brother had a Zed car.
Yeah, you had to lay like this for
2
5
Zed
minutes.
families?
Totally
We were-
2 Zed family.
Tony Danza style?
That's exact. Yes to both of you.
We were 0 for Zed in my family.
We never Zed it either.
We got zilch part of Zed.
Yeah. We didn't have Zed money is the problem.
That's probably
you need
a factor.
And double Zed. That what'd you have? You had a refrigerator in your garage too.
Yes, 2 of them.
Rich people.
Yeah.
Rich people had refrigerator in
The
the garage.
Kansas elite. That's right.
I was like, you have soda outside? Holy shit. Like, that was crazy.
Was your
Popsicles and
TV
frozen
built
meat.
into a cabinet?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Come
you rich
on.
fuck. The
But
Rothschilds.
But then one time my brother took some sort of like speaker head and put it up to the TV because it was making like rainbow. You know what I'm
was
talking about?
interfering with the
And
TV.
then he broke it.
All right, so Chris, we're still going to
Story
find
checks
some
out.
colored Zeds from, well, I don't know if we'll find
That's the
colored,
closest
but
I can get.
80s Zed. But they don't have to be famous, just
Can I
just
ask?
bad. Yeah.
I need a little. Why take the picture jump roping shirtless? I'm 100% for it. I'm just curious. What was that? Were you
I
need
was-
this
Fancies
picture?
himself a
I
good
was
jump roper.
no, I was
You gotta prove
teaching.
it.
I was teaching boxing at a certain point in my career, and then I was hanging around with these other stand-ins from Judgment Night, the Emilio Estevez movie. With
Vehicle.
everyone was in it, and then Cuba Gooding and
Adam Carolla.
and what's his name was.
There's a lot. Dennis Leary?
No, Stephen Dorff.
Dorff.
Yeah, was in it.
Huh?
Yeah, it was Dennis Leary. Yeah. And they're like, I was hanging out with the other thing, and they're like, you teach boxing? And they're like, you could do fitness bits. Like, you could get on for commercials where they needed fit people in the background doing athletic things or something like that. And then this guy was a photographer. So he said, possibly gay, but he said, after we wrap here, we'll go to the gym at some point. We'll take pictures of you doing like fitness things. So that's
Was the gym in his house?
That's what he did. No, it was Bodies in Motion and on the west side of LA. So I had a Zed card, but it was like a fitness thing from the 90s.
With one good arm curl on a bench.
Never got any work. I never tried. I think I went out on like one audition. It would say like looking for athletic people who can box.
God, the best ever would have been you in the background of like a Susan Powder tape. How fucking awesome would that have
And
been?
her sagely words. You've got to breathe.
Yes, breathe.
It still rings to my head.
Stop the insanity!
Sometimes I'll be falling asleep and I'll forget to breathe, and Susan Powders will pop up into my head going, breathe.
Saved your
You've got to
life.
breathe.
That's right.
I miss that girl. Man,
She
I wonder
alive?
what her Zed card looked
She
like.
alive?
She's alive.
She had some. Yeah.
I mean, this
That's
is.
pretty
We're
good.
looking at Grant. Grant, you start. You got the
Just the one
surfer
name.
one.
Yeah.
You have, I don't know what the other one, holding the football
Singing
one.
in the rain
What's
or something.
the
like
Yes.
that.
what's the dress? Yeah, what is that in his in the background? Is that like a black cape? What's happening?
Umbrella?
I thought it was
shot
an umbrella, but I could be wrong.
in a weird way. But yeah, you
Why
have
does he
to.
give his waist size?
You have to have your shoe size.
You got to know. It's
got
modeling
his
show.
waist size, his shoe size. They got to dress the man.
Yeah, if like you said, if he wasn't holding a surfboard, how would we know he could be
That's right.
near the water?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
We're shooting Goonies too. We already bought the shoes. So
I remember I auditioned when I was going out for commercials. I auditioned for this. There was something for shampoo, but you had to be in a shower. And I have really skinny legs, and but I thought I could be funny enough to maybe fool them a little bit. So the first time I go in, they go, "Okay, I didn't bring shorts on purpose." They go, "Okay, take your shirt off," and we do the commercial, the read, and they were like, "We're going to bring you back. That was really funny. Make sure you wear shorts next time. The producer's going to want to see some shorts." So I come back in wearing shorts, but like real long ones, like jams almost, and almost like down to like halfway around the calves. And read it, and everyone's laughing, clients laughing. And they were like, "This is great, you did great." On the way out, I thought I'd get away with it again. The client was like, "Hey, by the way, we just need to see your thighs. I'm sure it's fine, but can we take a look at the thighs?" And I was like, "Do you see my calves?" And they were like, "Yeah." I'm like, "It's the same all the way up." And they were like, "Really?" They said, "Do you want to show it?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm pretty good." But I pulled my legs up, and the casting woman goes,
Yeah.
"That's not going to work."
That's discrimination. I don't like it.
Remember what shampoo it was?
I forget. It was so long ago. But, all this was fun and funny and the lather.
lather.
But the thighs were not.
Wow.
It's a cutthroat business, the fitness model business. I said, I think I went on one audition, but I would just sit there and be like, this is never going to happen. And it never did.
And you manifested it.
I manifested it. I did what Oprah tells you to do.
right.
It's just you make it be.
A vision board of nothingness.
I had a vision board.
A vision board of failure?
Yes,
That's right.
a failure vision board. Yeah, I think we have my Zed card, don't we, somewhere, Chris? Oh, that's just me jumping rope, but
the jump rope is
just
pretty
because Bryan loves
spectacular.
Bryan loves
Can we
it.
see that? Can we see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just because we've talked about it enough. Yeah, the guy was kind of decent photographer. I don't know what happened to him, but I do know that he.
Oh, all right.
That's the wallpaper on my phone. If you guys.
He ended up. He ended. I was so poor that I couldn't feed myself, so I had.
It worked out.
I
You're
had
cut.
the abs. Yeah,
You got that Tom Selleck chest hair too.
That's right. Pursuit.
He got at some point he got to play a cop. The greatest thing for a stand-in is if at some point someone looks at you and goes, to put the cop uniform on and walk in while we're actually filming.
It's like Carson waving you over.
Yeah, and just here your line is where we're going, Chief, and then that's it. But if one of the stand-ins gets tapped to actually get filmed,
Then you get tapped hardly.
in this thing, that was like the biggest deal ever. The other thing about being a stand-in when you're doing a tough guy movie is I was one of the bad guy stand-ins is you hope that your character gets killed last.
Yeah.
And
the best you could hope for.
And they'll shoot out of order, so it's no telling,
Right.
But you want to go last so you can get many granola bar days as you can. Yeah.
I remember my cousin's a guy named Scott Wolf who was on
sure.
That's
Party of
right.
Five and all that stuff. And look at that dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was kind of jacked back then. But, I think black and white and the right lighting probably helps.
Oh, you're being modest.
Don't minimize it. Own it.
Well,
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Yeah. Look at this dude.
Yeah,
But-
should have got laid more.
We were extras on Life Goes On.
Oh,
Remember
shit.
that show with
Of
You and
course.
Scott
Corky.
Wolf is the cousin, right?
Patty
Corky,
LuPone,
And
yeah.
Scott got the tap because he's just like the cutest, most handsome,
adorable.
right? And they were like, we need a featured background. He was going to be like a football, right? Because Life Goes On was set in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, one day, there was supposed to be a shot with Corky. Corky was a dude with Down syndrome. And it was supposed to be one long walk and talk shot where he had to walk down half a hallway, turn a corner, and walk down a full hallway and carry a conversation.
Both tough.
So he is good until he has to turn the corner. There's something about turning the corner where that's where he messes up every time.
Mm-hmm.
And the first AD is on her mic, and we hear her go, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with him today? I'm like,
wow.
Today? What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're asking him to do 2 pages of walk and talk.
Yeah.
I saw him get happy with an orange today. You know what I mean?
The man is disabled.
What do you mean? What's wrong with him? Give the dude a break around the corner. He clearly is not picking it up. But by the way, that's how cutthroat this business is. The dude with Down syndrome.
Can't please anybody.
They're on him because he can't remember 2 pages of dialogue.
Very much alive and well. Chris
Gotta
Burke.
find his Zed card. We
57
need his
years
Zed
old.
card.
Yeah. He's got
Everybody
a
has
Zed card for sure.
Yeah, Scott Wolf's probably got a Zedder out there.
Oh, yeah.
He
somewhere.
100% has a Zed card. He had a Zed card. I remember seeing it because he did some featured extra stuff I remember on Saved by the Bell. When he and I moved out to LA together, and he booked a commercial his second day he was here.
Is he your age? How old is he?
He's a year older than me.
A year older.
He's
53.
That dude's been working since Party of Five, consistently on TV. When you got a face like that, it's almost unfair.
Boyishly adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Dimples.
Oh.
Dimples. That's right. But short, he has to wear heels.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Scott.
stiff
Sorry,
lips?
Scott. No, he doesn't wear like the heels. He doesn't wear Tom Cruise shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe on a red carpet he might put on a heel.
Who
I hope
won't.
he's listening to this.
Is
We
he
all do.
Is he funny?
He's for real.
Yeah.
Top 5 funny person I ever met in my life. But
Wow.
but he's dark. Scott is dark funny. But because he is who he is, they don't let him do comedy stuff. But he's like really very funny and dark. We have like mother jokes that go beyond the realm of what you're supposed to. And when his mom passed,
Oh no.
he was like, I just want you to know, mother jokes are not over. I'm like, good. I got a bunch of them. I got a bunch of them. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Where'd you guys come out from?
He grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in Massachusetts.
And so you just said cousin, right?
Yep.
We're going to, 19? What were you?
I was 20. He was 21. He had just graduated college. I had known, the 5th time I was ever on stage, I opened for Kinnison.
Wow.
What?
Oh, dude. Okay. I had done it a couple times when I was 15 years old.
Stand up.
My parents had driven me to the open mics, and I just love. You know
Your
what I mean?
parents drove you to open mics at 15.
Yeah. Because my dad said after the first time, I remember the first joke I ever told. My parents were sitting in the front row, and my mom had one of those, those cameras that zit, zit, click, those old,
Sure.
right? And I could hear it when I was on stage. Zit, zit, click, right?
We come from very different families.
Yeah.
My dad drove me to the end of the driveway and said, now get out.
Camera, please.
I got on stage and I said, hey, everybody, I'm Josh. I'm 15 years old. I'm really nervous. My parents are here tonight. This is the first fucking time I'll be able to fucking swear in front of my cocksucking mom. And the place went,
Wow.
and I remember that, that kind of feels like a drug.
yeah.
I was like, I want to do this forever. And so I remember I did it 3 times in high school. I did it once when I got to college. I went to do a contest. Carl LeBeau's dad passed, I think, of HIV. I think on the way to
Carl LeBeau.
Carl LeBeau was Sam's opener.
Oh, okay.
And by the way,
And his dad died.
his dad died on the way to San Antonio. So they called and they were like, "Who won this?" They knew there was a comedy contest. Who won?
Because Sam was coming to San Antonio.
And they needed an opener.
Oh, damn.
And they were like, yeah, this kid Josh Wolf won. They said, call him and ask him if he wanted to open for Sam.
And you were how old?
I was 20. I had been on stage 4 times in my life.
Did you have 10 minutes or?
Okay. Not only did I not have the 5th time you're on stage.
Yeah, you don't have 10 minutes.
No, I won the contest because the winner was whoever got the best crowd response. I packed the place with my friends because the winner got free beer. And in college,
Right.
that's what we're talking about, right? So we pack it in. I show up to the show. His brother, Bill Kinnison, is his man.
Yeah.
And I think that I've been on stage 4 times, but since I'm opening for Kinnison, I'm like, this shit's easy, And I thought I was going to do the 5 minutes that I had. And Bill goes, hey, listen, so I just need you to open it up with the quick 20.
Oh, boy.
In and out.
20, and then we'll get you. Now, Kinnison's crowd was a different crowd.
Than the free beer crew.
Especially at that time, he was like a rock and roll. We were at Sneakers in San Antonio, which was a rock club. So most people were standing.
Wasn't he opening for like bands, like huge bands?
I don't know if he was, but he brought a band with him.
At that time.
He brought a band
with him.
Oh, yeah, he did
Wow.
Wild Thing.
Oh, sure. Remember that?
Remember Wild?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And so I go out on stage.
You got your vest and your top hat on?
Worse. Okay, so at that time, I had gotten rid of the vest. I hadn't vested it yet. Vest was Seattle. I looked like a Blockbuster employee. I had a button-down blue Oxford shirt tucked into my acid-wash jeans with a black belt with dress shoes.
Oh.
But wait, it gets worse.
Acid wash and dress shoes. How can it get worse?
Because I had a black motorcycle jacket and a ponytail.
Oh, man.
I have like time machine embarrassment for you.
I do too.
Well, it gets worse because the Kinnison's crowd was not a soft bunch of dudes.
Right.
I start to walk out to the microphone. And before I get there, I just hear, "You better be funny, Bobby Brady."
Oh, boy.
Now, I want to tell you something. I wasn't ready for hecklers or 5th time on stage. I also didn't have more than 3.5 minutes of material.
Mm-hmm.
You know how bad it went, dude?
Well, also, let me say this. The Kennisons are a lot of comedians, they want 20 minutes because they're contracted to fill up an hour and a half, and they just don't feel like working. It's at a certain point, it's almost like saying, I'm going to come into town and do some roofing. Do you have a local roofer who can do like a half hour worth of shingle work before I show up? Because that's how they look at it. At a certain point, you're not a roofer. You're not an artist anymore. It's just money.
Well, it went so bad, man, that by the 7th minute, they had stopped heckling me and they were just talking to each other.
Oh, they've abandoned you.
And so I had run out of material. So I'm not lying when I tell you, I just started my act over 4 times.
Oh, man.
When people were walking in, I'd be like, hey, you guys missed my first joke. So I just started them over. So I walk off stage. It's the worst. After the show, there's 2 shows.
Oh, 2. That's right.
Sam, not good at staying sober in between shows.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill says to me, hey, Sam's a little fucked up. We might need you to stretch.
Oh, God.
Do your show
Second
a 6th
show.
time.
And I go, and I was confused. I go, didn't you watch the first show? He goes, yeah. The crowd response was great. It was great. He didn't watch. He was like, but just know, if you look over me and I'm doing this, just do a couple more minutes. And I'm like, you mean do my act a 5th time?
Right. Wow.
The second show, worse than the first, because it was a late show, so they were coming in fucked up.
Right.
Midway through the act, I had gone, my girlfriend had drove me to the show. I just started talking to her. I was like, what should I do? She was like, keep going, it's fine.
Wow.
Yo, it was the worst night of stand-up ever. But I remember her saying to me, so you got that out of your blood, like you ready to quit?
Yeah.
And I told her, I go, I may not do this for a living, but I'll be damned if that's the last time I'm on stage. Like, they're not chasing me off stage. Like, I might go on my own, but those animals aren't fucking chasing me.
I feel that way during sex. I'm like, this is not going to be my last effort. There's no way.
It may not be good, but
I'm not going to leave this kind of taste on your psyche.
Literally.
I will be back.
Yeah.
There's no way this is my last one. All right, let's see. Let me hit a spot, and Josh will hang out, and we'll roll into some news in a second. First, I'll tell you about Concrete. Your body makes about half the creatine it needs. The other half comes from your diet, but most American diets are low in creatine-rich foods. Concrete patented creatine HCl is the favorite creatine of elite, well-informed athletes. The #1 bioavailable creatine and the only microdosing creatine. Just 1 small scoop per 100 pounds of body weight. Creatine is required. And by the way, this stuff has a nice lemony flavor. You feel the energy the second you take it. Dr. Drew swears by it. I swear by it. Creatine is required for functional energy in every cell. Your brain uses about 20% of the creatine in your body. Your immune cells need it to protect you, and your heart cells need it to pump, and your lungs needed to breathe, so get some Concrete. Am I right, Dawson?
Take control of your health, both body and mind. Build a better you with Concrete. Register now at con-crete.com/podcast. That's con-cret.com/podcast for a chance to win a $500 Walmart Visa gift card. Available now online and in-store Walmart. Concrete is truly life-changing and performance-enhancing.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with news right after this.
Well, didn't expect to do this, but starting off today with an RIP, and did not guess the age until I read it. Rest in peace, Angela Lansbury, star of stage and mostly small screen.
Can we guess the age?
Yeah, go for it. She died on Tuesday.
Gotta be 90s, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she was just always perpetually in her early 60s, you know,
I
just
go
always.
92.
Okay.
I'll go 94.
Brian.
I'll just take the under and go 89.
96.
Wow.
Long life. Her family said in a statement that, and I'm saying this for a reason, the children of Dame Angela Lansbury are sad to announce their mother died peacefully in her sleep in L.A. 5 days before her 97th birthday. She's from London. She did everything. You may remember her most notably, depending on how old you are. She was the teapot in Beauty and the Beast. Of course, Jessica Fletcher in the long-running show Murder, She Wrote. She won a shit ton of Tonys. Sweeney Todd, Mame, Dear World, Gypsy, Blythe Spirit. Yes.
Have you and Sonny dove into the Manchurian Candidate?
No, we have not.
Fucking masterpiece. She's the villain, and
she is.
in the discussion for best female villain in film history. She's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it with Sonny.
Have you and Sonny dug into Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah, we took a deep dive. We got the Criteria collection.
Well, speaking of best villain, she was in Sweeney Todd. I mean, she's fucking great.
Yeah, she was great. I was thinking, you can keep going, Gina. Think about keep going.
That's really all I have on Angela Lansbury.
Because I was thinking about.
Can I buy you some time?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
I coached high school football for 2 years. I coached her grandson, unbeknownst to me, Charles Lansbury. I didn't know they were related, and he made a bad throw. He was a quarterback. He made a bad throw at practice one day, and hilarious me. I said, "Come on, man, you look like Angela Lansbury on that throw." He goes, "That's my grandma."
Oh,
wow.
Oh, shit, really?
I saw her at
I'm still hung up on you being a football coach.
Yeah. Coach.
Okay.
That was a good coach.
I saw her at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was glorious, and it was this big, tribute to Sondheim, and everyone was there, and it was iconic, and all the gays and me were crying, we're clapping, and she comes out at the very end for her final bow and busts her ass, trips over something.
Oh, really?
And collectively, thousands of people just... But she got up and she was okay.
The comedian I was thinking of, and this is why I was thinking, and Angela Lansbury never really went down this road, but you can look up, Chris, comedian Martha Raye, because when I was hanging around at Sid Croft's house of Sid and Marty Croft, he was like, "Oh, Martha Raye, one of the funniest stand-ups ever." And I was like, "Oh, the denture, polydent woman, Martha Raye?" And he's like, "No, the star of Broadway, Martha Raye." And I'm like, polydent lady, right? From the 70s.
Are we talking
and
about
it's
the same person, at least?
So what ends up happening is you are this great comedian, but that's a bygone era, and then you turn 68 and you need to get paid, so you become the polydent,
right?
Which is glue for false teeth.
Right.
And then young Adam Carolla only knows you from your work with glue, with teeth glue.
Right.
And you say the same, like Agnes Moorehead. Yeah, she was the bewitched lady. She was the bitch who.
It's like Jimmy Walker. It's like JJ Walker.
Yeah,
he's just doing those commercials now. And nobody knows because when he goes dynamite, I remember my son was like, "Why does he say dynamite?" And I was like, "You gotta."
Yeah, you had to have been there.
Yeah. Martha, you can find polydent. I think she was known as Big Mouth. So
that's nice.
The Big Mouth, yeah.
What was Art Linkletter famous for besides Craftmatic adjustable beds?
He was a host of Kids Say the Darndest Things.
Well, there you go. He's
I
just
think,
the Craftmatic adjustable bed guy.
And Phil Rizzuto worked for the Money Store. We didn't know he was an all-star Yankee.
Baseball player,
I mean? Like, this is the danger of
Eric
this.
Estrada sells land in Oregon.
Right.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those late-night commercials.
Tom Selleck wants to reverse mortgage.
You know, I got to push back. That is some of the most thoughtful acting I've ever seen. When he's walking toward the camera, those commercials.
He's exceptionally earnest.
You got to find that one too. You got to find the reverse mortgage. I mean, when he's explaining that it's a loan.
This isn't my first rodeo.
Yeah, we're not taking your house. I mean,
he really seems like he cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really in it. Yeah.
Seniors have a lot of questions.
Most of the guys are up there, William Devane telling you to buy gold. He's just reading a fucking prompter. He doesn't even know what's on there. But Tom really moved into that world.
Yes.
He lived in that space.
But he also has a TV show. So he's the one guy out of all of them who doesn't.
Maybe he's doing it because he's that passionate about it. I mean, that's our logical conclusion. He must have come to that.
Too many seniors are getting false information. Let me set it straight.
Martha, was it Martha Raye?
Raye.
Yeah. Who was a big female comedian for Polydent.
I didn't know she was a comedian. I remember this commercial though.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
So you got to start thinking, what are we going to remember you for? Not stand up.
That's what dentures look like?
She would.
Yeah, I was going to say, those dentures look
kind of
terrible.
weird.
Commercials were either for how to clean your dentures or how to keep them glued to your gums.
Right.
And that was a lot of commercials. Now everyone's got the, they got the
veneers.
Yeah. The veneers and the screw-in ones with the post and all that kind of stuff. But you used to take your teeth out at night.
And then wasn't there a side cottage industry for denture wearers, for toothpaste, for denture wearers, for smokers?
Topol.
Yes!
But that
Thank
wasn't
you.
for dentures.
Oh, I
that
thought
was
it
just
was.
the
Yeah.
smoker's
Oh,
toothpaste.
smoker's toothpaste. Topol.
Yeah. There should be, I'd like to come out with a Hesher's toothpaste, like rip a lot of bong loads. I can see it in your teeth. Topol, the Hesher's toothpaste. Like, hey, dude, when you
I
get
need
pulled
that.
over, you want your fucking, you don't want your mouth smell like a bong, do you, dude? You want it to be minty fresh. Yeah.
I definitely need one of those for sure. I could have used one of those coming over here today.
Yeah.
Is smoke? Oh, they're smokers polydent. Oh, so they have.
I knew it.
I would just use this. Even
nice
if I
work.
didn't smoke, I'd use the smoker stuff. I'd just look at it as higher.
Extra strength.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just do the smoker one anyways? That looks like it's going to clean it off a little more than the regular one. I also, commercials, at what year did they start to become entertainment? Because back then it was pure information.
Yes.
And there was a turn where it started to become all entertainment, but I don't remember when that was pure information.
Like a
right?
60-second story with an arc.
Yeah, there's something funny.
Call me
It's-
Jay. Call me Jay probably helped turn it all around.
You can call me babe.
Martha's earlier career. Also, if you really think about it, the person, like, how many units are you moving of the smokers, dentures, cleaner stuff? Because you've lost all your teeth and you're a chain smoker. How many years are you going to be a client?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think
what demo are we talking about here? Toothless chain smokers?
I think
What's over under 4 months?
I think my grandma, not the mean one, kept them in business for many years. 'Cause
Wow.
She had dentures and she smoked.
Oh, really? Because I
Oh,
figured
yes.
like you wouldn't get through the first pack of
Oh,
that
no.
stuff. Oh, man.
Grandma
Dentures and
Longini,
smoke.
come on.
I think at that point I'm just going toothless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like at
Easier
that-
to smoke.
Yeah, I think so. And who am I impressing?
That's true at that point.
Yeah, it's like I live in Vegas now. One of my favorite things to see is the old lady at the slot machine, no teeth, smoking a cigarette with the oxygen tank. I'm like, this lady's no quitter.
With the nose
yeah,
cannula.
nose thing. She's smoking with the oxygen.
Oh my
It's
God.
fucking perfect.
You know what, though? You know what never gets talked about? And I often in my adulthood think about this in my darker moments. We talk about dentures because you lose your teeth. When do you lose your teeth? When is that going to happen for me?
Oh,
When do your
you're
teeth
fine.
fall out?
Now, I think there's modern
Yeah,
orthodonture.
modern orthodonture.
But I
you'll
mean,
be fine.
but they fall out.
No,
not
they
anymore.
go bad. They take them out.
By the way,
God.
you really have to try at this point.
Okay,
in
because
time.
I thought
Yeah.
we don't talk. Nobody talks about when are we going to lose our
You'll
teeth.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
thank
got
you. Right.
Martha's credits.
Oh,
Yeah, so for Broadway, made our Broadway debut in Harry Asks musical Calling All Stars in 1934. Also went on to be in Hold On to Your Hats, Hello Dolly, and No No Nanette.
no, Nanette. Yeah.
And then in 1936, she signed on with Paramount Pictures. Her first movie was Rhythm on the Range with Bing Crosby. And then she was a cast member in Al Jolson's show The Life Buoy Program, also called Cafe Trocadero, where she would appear with many of the leading comics of her day, including Joe E. Brown, Bob Hope, W.C. Fields, Abbott and Costello, Charlie Chaplin, and Jimmy Durante.
But I know her as the denture lady.
It's all she'll
So,
ever
Josh,
be.
you got to pick. What's going to be your thing? Is it going to be land? Are we going to talk about
Yeah.
reverse mortgages? Are we talking dentures?
Showers with the door that you walk into.
That's mine.
Oh, sorry.
I took the door shower one.
I think something
Stair lifts.
I like stair lifts. I think because I smoke a lot of weed and I think walking upstairs eventually might be a problem for me. I think one of those chair lifts would be great
Yeah.
because
Okay.
I'm going to trick it out a little bit.
Oh, sure. You got to pimp it.
Yeah, I'm going to pimp it out a little bit.
Well,
but
we kind of need you to be a spokesperson, not modify our product.
You have to do stock.
You're right. That's right. That's right. But I like the one. I like to go in. But I think I can picture myself coming like the slow down, and talking to them. And when it gets to the bottom stair, just kind of, it lifts you up out of your
Right.
seat. Hi, I'm Josh Wolf.
Yeah,
that looks,
I'm buying.
That is pretty.
It's just a long intro of you coming
Yeah.
down the stairs.
I'd like to live in a world where that staircase thing got extended right to the bathroom tub door, and I just got dropped off into
a
the
king.
water.
It's
You know
just
what I mean?
track.
But
Why
what-
not?
but what
Yeah, it's
if-
just another 8 foot.
What if it drops you onto a moving sidewalk, which then moves you just into
You're not being
your
practical now.
That's
Jeff.
insane.
Josh,
Josh,
come on.
please take
Well,
this
that's the
seriously.
crazy part. My fault.
You know
My
what the
fault.
permitting process would be for that alone?
I think, but I think I am going to have one of those things in the house.
Yeah, those are great.
It makes total sense. Are you going to rascal it?
I got to tell you, I hopped on an electric bike the last couple of weekends, and it's liberating because the thing that's kind of crazy about riding the electric bikes, one of our sponsors, is, well, there's a couple things I've noticed. One is just a thought. It's an observation. I live in a neighborhood where there's many cyclists. You know what I mean? And the cyclists frequently blow right through the four-way stop signs, or even the one-way, one direction. They just blow through it. And, cars come to a complete stop, but the bike guys blow through it. And I thought, that's the difference between spending your own hard-earned energy to get the momentum versus just pushing your right foot down or whatever. It's like, who cares? These guys struggled up the hill. Now they're going 28 miles an hour, and they don't want to burn it. They don't want to scrub it off. But the thing about riding the electric bike, it's essentially like driving a car if there were no traffic laws. Like you have this weird empowerment feeling where you go buzzing like, the lights, I'll just buzz up the sidewalk and then slide into the side street and then buzz across and then buzz across there. It's inherently much more dangerous than driving a car, but the car gives you this illusion of like, I don't want to get a ticket. There's no way I'm going to take the car and just blow through all this stuff or buzz all this thing. The electric bike, you have this feeling of like, I'm just buzzing along above the law.
How fast? What's top speed?
That'd go like 25 miles an hour. The other thing, too, is when you factor in the never coming to a complete stop and not obeying any posted traffic rules, if you're just doing 6 miles from this part of town to that part of town, you will get there just as fast on an electric bike as you will in a car.
I will tell you, we live in Vegas. We live in a place where there's a lot of hills, and I see a lot of people on their bicycles. And first of all, the bike riders, when they're in first gear and they pedal like 40 times, but they only go 1 foot.
Yes.
That looks infuriating.
Yes.
Like if I move my legs that many times and I only go half a foot, I'm a fucking murder somebody. Like I don't understand why I'm putting this much effort in. I also will say, I spent, last time I was in Portland, Oregon, I grew a little bit of disdain for people on bicycles. They in traffic are so, I don't know what
entitled.
Oh my God.
I'll say it.
This one guy, I was in an Uber, right? And we're in Portland, and the guy is doing 20 down in the middle of the street.
Right.
And I go to the Uber guy. I go, will you honk? He was like, yeah, I don't want to honk. I go, why not? He goes, he's going to get real mad. I'm like, who? We're in a car.
And what?
We're in a car.
Right.
I go, just honk. I'll handle it. I was like, but I'm not staying 20 behind this dude on a 10-speed.
Right.
What are we fucking? He was like, they get real mad. I'm like, who gives a shit?
I was driving. You got to find Selleck's reverse mortgage commercial because really he puts on a
so
clinic.
Earnest. It's so good.
And his Zed card. I was driving over here. There's I don't know what is that, Western or something that leads to the freeway.
Yes.
There's oftentimes. Oh, it wasn't Western, Victory, or whatever it was, whatever the off-ramp is off the 134. And there's groups. There's groups. They do the whole group. This is 18 guys.
I know what you're talking about.
All taking up the whole fucking lane, and I'm driving an SUV with a V8 in it. And I'm like, okay. And I simply go around them. Like I literally went around. There was nobody coming the other direction. There's no traffic. I just sort of buzzed around. They were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like...
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know what you mean. I'm going somewhere. I didn't do anything.
Was I supposed to go through you?
The plan
I'm in
was
a car.
It's like, wait, bitch. That's their thing.
He's wearing a vest, Selleck, in this.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have stuck with the vest.
Well, he can pull it off.
Let's see what he has to say. Okay.
I got a couple questions for you.
Go ahead.
Kids.
Do you think it was the director's idea or Selleck where he was like, I need a coffee mug?
Yeah, I need an empty coffee mug.
He needs business, stage business.
You think that's what it was? I need a little...
I think you're right.
I got to slam it down. It's got to sound super tinny and empty.
He sounded very earnest. I want to know more about a jumbo reverse mortgage, but watching him made me realize we all forgot the perennial all-star. The king of what did he do besides pitch that thing? Wilford Brimley diabetes testing supplies.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The king.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Because that's all he's known for.
That's it.
I feel like the guys doing the analytics are like, they're signing Tom up every year because they're like, Tom, let me tell you, we don't get this too often. 42% of people who signed up live in apartments. That's how fucking good you are at selling this shit. They think they can get a reverse balloon on their cleaning deposit. You, my friend, could sell snow to an Eskimo.
Now, let me ask you something. Do you think it helps? How old do you think he is?
He could be a surprising like 72.
I agree.
Like you could go, holy shit.
I think he's older than that.
I think
Older than
72.
72.
I think 72 feels about right. But do you think the fact that he still looks good helps him sell that to that age group?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to know his age?
I go 72 also.
72?
Yep.
77.
Whoa! He
Wow.
looks great.
Yeah.
That
He's
mustache is 24.
Yeah, that's true.
Yo, that is still the best mustache going.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a couple more, Gina
All right.
Grad.
Well, in honor of our guest, I'm bumping this one up to the top. Researchers at the University of California, LA, UCLA, are working with a company called Electrotect to develop a marijuana breathalyzer. They're currently testing the cannabinoid fuel cell that they say is a big step toward developing a marijuana breath analyzer, similar to the ones that we have for alcohol. The goal, of course, is to perfect a gadget that can test for both alcohol and THC, letting law enforcement officials make quick and accurate calls while on the scene.
So you can...
You can test high.
Because right now, I have been pulled over at a checkpoint high before.
Oh, boy.
And it was Ventura and Sepulveda.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving back when I was still living out here. I was driving back to my house from the Comedy Store. And there was a point on Ventura where I would just light a joint because I knew I was like 10 minutes from my house. And I hit that, I drove
I do
past.
that with scotch.
I drove.
I'm getting into this cutty sark. I'm only 9 minutes from my house.
You're timing it out. You're like, I can't be too fucked up by the time I get home. I should be all right. I passed the sign. I wasn't wearing my glasses. So I passed the sign that said checkpoint. And I remember at one point a friend of mine who was in law enforcement say, don't turn around.
Never
turn around.
Never.
He was like,
don't do an e-brake.
Yeah, he was like, you're better off. He was like, you're better off just trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you turn around, he's like, we see you.
Right.
We're right there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I have to tell you, all I was thinking as I was pulling up is just don't look high. Just don't. You're going to be fine. Just don't look high. Don't look high. And I roll down the window. And I go, good evening, officer. And he goes, can you pull it over? And I was like, fuck.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's how quickly he let the two people in front of me through. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm totally good. And I wasn't.
And you seem like you may be like a veteran smoker.
Yeah, I'm good.
So you weren't totally bloodshot and your eyes weren't closed.
No. So I had prepared myself. I'm a Visine dude. And so I was like, you just have to not act high. But the first mistake I made is he pulled me over, right? And I just, I rolled down the window just like this much.
Oh, boy.
And he stuck his lips in the car and he goes, can you roll it down a couple more inches for me, please?
Wow.
I want to get hot boxed.
And I was like, yep. And when I rolled it down, he basically stuck his whole head in the car and sniffed me like a velociraptor.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you're fine. And I was thinking to myself, you're bad at your job.
Wow, yeah.
I was hotboxing 50 feet from here.
Wow.
You're really bad at your job. Yeah.
Wow.
And I drove home. You know when you're so nervous you can feel your heartbeat in your butthole?
Sure.
That's where I was. I was sitting there like, oh my Lord.
Right, my heartbeat, right? Not yours.
Yeah.
Does that make me nervous? Now I am feeling it.
Boy, you are nervous.
Fixing this throbbing in my butthole. Yeah. Well, look, the whole thing is, I was actually talking to Dr. Drew about this earlier today. Pot is high octane now, and it affects people, and it's a thing, and people are altered. And if you're going to be altered over 3 beers, then you can be altered over a joint, and that's kind of where we're at.
It's different weed than when you and I were growing up. We could smoke a whole joint and be fine. If you smoke a whole joint of the wrong weed now,
You'll be in the hospital.
You're going to have some problems.
And also, back in the day when you'd smoke weed, they wouldn't ask you what you wanted it to do.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
you want to go to sleep or do you want to lead a parade?
Yeah.
We were like, I'd like to get high. You want to get high? And there wasn't now. It's like, you got you have a big test coming up?
Yeah.
I got this weed. Like, they got the weed for...
How do you want to feel?
You want to tell your dad you're gay? Let me get this.
It was more like, I'm going to be in the woods with my friends.
Fucked up.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
That's it.
there's one weed. That's I will
The
get
weed.
high weed.
Yes.
I remember the first guy who used to sell me weed, a guy, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm sure statute of limitations gone.
Name him.
This dude named
Scott Wolf.
good dude named Billy Harrison. And so Billy actually he sold me weed in a jacket like this. And he used to sell it. The first job I ever got, I was 13 and I washed dishes in a kitchen. And I remember at 14, Billy used to come right back into the kitchen and sell me weed. And I remember this one time he gave me weed and it had some seeds in it. And I said to him, I go, "What? I don't understand what's with the seeds." And you could see the light just go off in his head. He was like, "Oh, those are good."
Oh, no.
He was like, "You can plant those." He goes, "Do you want me to give you more seeds in your next bag?"
Yeah, stems.
And I was like, "Seeds?" I go, "So seeds will grow it?" He goes, "Yeah, I tell you what, I'm not going to give you as much weed because the seeds are more valuable." So I remember
Jack and the Beanstalk
this
over
dude
here.
that was giving me like half weed, half seeds. And I remember I said to my oldest brother, I had bought like 4 bags and I had all these seeds. And my oldest brother was 6 years older than me, so he's like 20. And I go, "I got to show you something." He goes, "What's up?" And I show him. I go, "Look what I've been buying." He goes, "Are those seeds?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What are you going to do with those?" He goes, "I'm going to plant." I go, "I'm going to plant them." He goes, "Dude, stop buying drugs. You're too dumb to buy drugs." He said, "This is bad." He goes, "Well, first of all, what's the game plan? You're going to plant them in mom's garden? You're just going to go plant weed in the backyard?" I go, "I don't know. I was going to go down the end of the street." "What? To plant weed at the end of the street?" He goes, "You really didn't think this out." He goes, "Plus, these seeds aren't going to grow any. This dude is ripping you off."
Could make you sterile.
The guy came to the kitchen and said, "I got artichokes, but I removed the hearts." You don't want that stinky organ in there.
You like
Some
oregano?
nice sharp leaves.
Yeah, but I definitely had. I remember he showed up next time. I'm like, "Billy, you've been ripping me off," and he was like, "What? Who told you that?" I'm like, "My brother Adam." He was like, "Yeah, I'll get you weed next time." Okay, good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad you confronted him.
Yeah, why not? I wanted my
All right,
stinky weed.
One more, Gina
All
Grad.
right. Let's go to New Zealand for this one then. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has confirmed at a press conference that her government will push ahead with a proposal to make farmers pay for their livestock's gas emissions in a bid to combat climate change. And yeah, I'm talking about cow burps, cow farts.
How do you quantify that?
Hold on. New Zealand is a major livestock and meat exporter and has around 10 million cattle, 26 million sheep. Farming accounts for half of the country's total emissions. So in their country, the ozone's just wreaked havoc.
From cow farts?
Cow farts,
Oh, yeah.
allegedly.
It's a thing.
Attempting to find ways to counteract this, researchers at a dairy company are trialing effects of something called kombucha, which is a probiotic thought to reduce the methane-emitting burps, at least.
I'm for this. I don't like big government. I don't like the way New Zealand handled COVID, and they're getting out of control over there. But I do like this idea because I think we're going to start breeding cattle
Fartless
who fart
cows?
less, and then that's going to lead to human, where we can take humans and breed them not to fart.
That'd be great.
And that's a breakthrough.
I think we'd be going backwards. I mean, there's something funny about the fart still.
It's definitely funny.
Yeah, it's something funny.
Look, the hardest I've laughed in the last 20 years is whenever they do those videos of the guy
Costco.
walking at the Costco farting into the PA.
Yeah. You don't want to take that away, do you?
But that
you're
person
right.
would be held up as a king because
Take
he's
the
the
cows away. Take the cows away, but you can't take our. This is part of my
Then they
entertainment.
came for ours.
That's right.
Fine Costco fart guy. I can't. I start laughing just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget AJ Benz's nephew.
That's right. And
what was that?
He can do all
Nick
kinds of farts.
Santora he collected his farts.
What do you mean?
Oh, audibly.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he just recorded all of them?
Yeah, and he named them. He would name them. He'd name them like, you ever go to the Home Depot and look at the paint samples?
Yeah,
And you'd be like,
yeah.
I want it just kind of gray. And then you want Harvest Mist or Navajo green. And you'd go, I I don't know. They give these crazy names. Nick named his farts.
Like Autumn Sunrise?
Yeah,
I love charcoal.
That. Yeah.
Wow.
There was the guy.
Be prepared to be happy.
It's the greatest American.
Can I tell you what I love about him? I love his leg twist.
Yeah.
I love his single leg twist to get that fart out. He knows the optimum move of his butt cheek to make sure he gets the best sound.
Quality.
Like he's shot in a put, like a shot putter, like the move, the rotation, the launch.
And that seriously sounds like a tuba.
It's the reverberation that I love.
Look at that. And you know what else is good? He really looks like he got that intercom in there.
Oh, yeah. That went internal.
It didn't hover.
No, it got sucked in.
Yeah, if it didn't have the cord on it, it'd be lost. All right, let's bring it home.
Okay, I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
You know when you're so nervous you can feel your heartbeat in your butthole?
Gina. That was the news with Gina Grad.
Oh, all right. Let me tell you about my friend Jordan Harbinger. All right, let's see. Let's give some plugs out. Jorge Masvidal, iKon Fighting Championship that's coming up October 14th, and you can check that out on UFC Fight Pass. Josh Wolf's show's coming up. Portland, Helium Comedy Club tomorrow, as you hear this, through Saturday, and then Omaha, Funny Bone, October 21st and 22nd as well. Family Tussle, the YouTube show everyone's talking about as well. Yes, Josh?
Just so you know, that show premieres tonight on my YouTube channel.
Perfect.
It is a father-son competition show where the loser has to do a really embarrassing thing.
And it is really funny because I've already seen it. So, until next time. Oh, and you can find us, San Diego Mic Drop Comedy. That'll be October 28th and 29th. Until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Josh Wolf and Jorge Masvidal and Gina Grad and Bryan. Say it. Mahalo.